Thank you, brothers. Phi Gams have never been afraid to try new and different approaches to leadership and education. And so it is that I believe that we're probably one of the first organizations ever to bring its leaders in from across the continent to one place and to kick the festivities off on a high note by talking about death and dying. So I love speaking to brothers that are fired up about the fraternity. It reminds me, shortly after I was initiated into the fraternity, one of the big moments of my life was I received my first issue of the Phi Gamma Delta magazine. And here I was reading it cover to cover, letting the purple flow over me and just embrace me because it felt good. And I've never been a particularly good student, and I've never studied Latin, so if you pass something, I assume it's either a test or a kidney stone. So I got to the back of the magazine and I began to read the bios of all these impressive brothers, and it would say, Brother so-and-so passed ad astra on such and such date. And I was like, cool, these guys passed the CPA exam of Phi Gamma Delta. I wanted to know, what does it involve? What do I have to do? I want a doctorate in Phi Gamma Delta. And I kept reading, and I noticed that no one from my chapter had passed ad astra. Very few people from Texas had passed ad astra, and it was mainly old people who were passing this exam. So immediately I decided that not only would I be one of the first people from my chapter to pass ad astra, I'd be one of the youngest ones too. So your brain starts spinning out of control because you lack information, and finally I yelled out to my fraternity big brother, I go, Crowder, what do you have to do to pass ad astra? And he goes, you have to die. So, needless to say, passing ad astra is not on my list of things to do. But unfortunately, for better or worse, we don't know where, when, or how we're going to die. I know a lot of people will be watching the news and they'll see plenty of ways that they don't want to die. They'd say, man, I really don't want to burn to death, or I don't want to be eaten by a shark. Or if you talk to a rational human being, most of them would say, if I go, I want to pass away in my sleep. I've always thought about it a little bit differently. If I'm going to have to die, that I'd want my death to mean something. And so if you ask me how I want to die, it would be saving someone else's life. Granted, the odds that I'll ever have the opportunity to dive on a hand grenade or knock someone out of the way of a speeding car pretty remote. So I realized that the most likely way that I'd ever be able to save someone else's life was by becoming an organ donor. And whether you think that I'm going to heaven or hell or simply turning to dust, I'm not going to need my organs. And the moment before I take my last breath is not a time that I should be selfish. And so it was this past summer that I was reading an article about a Brazilian football club who had successfully transformed their team's or their fans' passion for the team into a successful organ donation drive. In it, the team produced videos that would show fans of the team who were on the organ donation waiting list, and they said that my new eyes will continue to watch the team that you love. My new heart will continue to beat for the team that you love. And the success of the campaign, they enrolled more than 60,000 new organ donors in one city. The wait times for heart transplants and corneal transplants dropped to 0. It was truly an amazing achievement. Now, since the organs of fans who donated them continued to live on in the bodies of other fans, this football team called those fans who were organ donors immortal fans. And so, brothers, it's my great honor tonight to announce that Phi Gamma Delta is partnering with Donate Life to increase the number of organ donors across North America. We're calling our partnership the Immortal Phi Gam Project. Phi Gamma Delta is uniquely positioned to make a huge impact with our efforts. We are located at more than 150 prestigious institutions across the United States and Canada. Many of our chapters are located at universities that also have hospitals, medical centers, and research centers, or are located in cities that are close to major hospitals and medical centers. It's an endeavor that can involve all the parts of Phi Gamma Delta. It doesn't matter if you're in the United States or Canada, whether you're a colony, a chapter, or a graduate chapter, whether you're a colony member, a pledge, an undergraduate brother, or a graduate brother, all of us can work together to achieve a great result. We have a special guest joining us this evening to help us launch our partnership. Annie Kuhl is a proud graduate of the University of Missouri. She is a member of Zeta Tau Alpha sorority. She is the Chief Communications Officer of the charity Saving Sight, and she also serves as the National Chairperson for the National Advisory Board of Donate Life. But perhaps nothing demonstrates Annie's brilliance more than her decision to marry a Phi Gam. She married a brother from our Chi Mu chapter at the University of Missouri by the name of Joe Cool. You don't get cooler than that. Brothers, help me welcome Annie Cool.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Glenn, and thank you to all of the brothers who are here in this room, and thank you to your leadership for embarking on this partnership with Donate Life America. The need for organ donation is critical here in the U.S., in Canada, and abroad. Roughly more than 123,000 individuals are on the waiting list right now for a life-saving organ transplant. So to put that number into perspective for you, that's roughly the same number of living Fiji brothers who are graduates here in the U.S. and in Canada. The number of individuals on the waiting list would fill the Edward Jones Dome just down the street about 2 times. That's many people who each day are waiting in hope, but dying because there's not an organ available for transplant for them. Of those waiting, about 21 patients die each day. This is truly a health crisis here in the U.S. and abroad. In addition to those waiting for a life-saving transplant, there are many more who are waiting for a life-enhancing transplant as well, either through a cornea transplant or a tissue transplant. About 1 million individuals for a tissue and about 46,000 for a cornea transplant in the U.S. The good news is that there is hope. The hope for these people who are waiting is largely met by people like you who are sitting in this room. People who make a commitment to join an organ and tissue donor registry in their state, or when they go to the DMV and renew their driver's license, say yes to being an organ and tissue donor. You provide hope when you join the organ and tissue donor registry. Right now, about 48% of the population is on an organ and tissue donor, or has designated as an organ and tissue donor, either through the DMV or by signing up online. And more importantly, strong advocates for donation help to build a culture of expected donation within the U.S. When you're asked to be an organ and tissue donor, that saying yes just seems like the right thing to do. The exciting partnership that we have before us moving forward is for Fiji and Donate Life America to work together to ask more individuals to join organ and tissue donor registries. As Glenn had mentioned, this under the idea of Be Immortal, which we think is a really neat fit between Donate Life America and Fiji. First, your first call to action is tonight or tomorrow. Again, you can stop by the booth that I have outside to please register yourself as an organ and tissue donor. And then after that, your second step is also to register your chapter as a collegiate chapter, as one that is working on this project with us. We'll be working with Fiji in the coming months for collegiate chapters to have organ and tissue donor drives on campuses as well. So you're making a commitment, and also you brothers are making a commitment on your campuses to asking more people to be organ and tissue donors. Again, I encourage you to come out and learn more tomorrow, or ask me later on tonight too. You also have a card on your table, a Be Immortal card, which has the URL to the Fiji website, where you can register first to be part of the project, and then it'll also take you to the organ and tissue donor registry, the one in the US and also to the one in Canada, to make your decision to donate. Again, thank you so much for your support. Please know that the work that you're doing with us and the work that you're doing toward designating more organ and tissue donors is saving lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Annie. Making yourself immortal is a simple three-step process. Step 1, visit www.phigam.org/immortalphigam and register at the bottom of the web page. Step 2, you'll want to click on the link on that web page to donate life. Unfortunately, every state and province has a different registration process, but thankfully, Donate Life has created a map where you simply click on the state where you're licensed, and it takes you to the appropriate registration place. Canada, you're so special and your country's so large, you have your own separate link. So it's important to note that cards stating that your desire to donate organs or just registering by at phigam.org by itself is not enough. You must register with your state or province organization to truly be enrolled as an organ donor and to ensure that there aren't any delays in the organ transplantation process where every second counts. So let me repeat that because it's important. Registering alone at phigam.org or simply carrying around a card that says that you want to be an organ donor isn't enough. You must register with your state or province. If you're uncertain about whether or not you're registered, it's usually shown on your driver's license in the United States, or in Canada, it's shown on your insurance card. But if you're still uncertain whether or not you've ever registered to become an organ donor, go ahead and register again. It's one of those scenarios where there's no harm, no foul. But for those of you that are absolutely sure, and it shows on your driver's license or donor card or an insurance card in Canada, simply go to the Phi Gam website and register. You'll receive a confirmation email immediately after registering. For this event only, I have 150 royal purple wristbands. One says Immortal Phi Gam on one side and Phi Gamma Delta on the other. For the first 150 undergraduate brothers or colony members that show their confirmation email or show us a tweet using hashtag Immortal Phi Gam. Those of you that are over 40, that's # Immortal Phi Gam. Or show us a Facebook post on your timeline that contains a link, www.phigam.org/immortalphigam, and tomorrow morning you'll be able to pick up one of these wristbands. First comes, first serve, supplies are limited. Everyone that registers, regardless of when they do it, will receive a membership card in the mail stating that they have made themselves an immortal and are in fact an Immortal Phi Gam. Our website is only able to accommodate the registration of colony members, pledges, brothers, and graduate brothers at this time, but we'll be working feverishly in the days and weeks ahead to provide you with more resources and to provide a separate registration process so that you'll be able to have organ donation drives on your campus. Now, the third and final step is to tell your parents, your spouse, or other family members that you want to become an organ donor should the time arise. It doesn't involve anything complicated. You just need to share with them your desire. So you can simply say, hey, Mom, Dad, if I'm about to croak, I want to give up my organs. So it can be as simple as that. But now let's pretend that I'm just talking to you and only you. I was only joking in the beginning when I said that we'd be talking about death and dying. What we're really talking about is how your impact on the world can continue on after you've passed. Forget about what everyone else in this room may or may not do. Your decision alone to become an organ donor can save or improve the lives of up to 50 other people. And so the question really becomes, why wouldn't you want to save or save or improve the lives of 50 other people at the moment right before you take your last breath on this earth. Now imagine for a moment if everyone in this room made the same decision as you, that they too wanted their last act on earth to save or improve the lives of others. And you can understand how amazing that impact would be. But let's take it even further. Imagine that you, all your chapter brothers, the chapter brothers that are initiated after you for the years into the future, and all your graduate brothers made the same commitment to you that their last act on earth would be to save and improve the lives of others. And you begin to see the tremendous multiplier effect that you, your chapter, and this fraternity can have on your community and the world in general. Now, I sincerely hope that everyone in this room lives a long, long time. But unfortunately, there's no guarantee as to what tomorrow will bring. And that's why I'm asking you and your chapter brothers and your graduate brothers to act now. You're the leaders of this fraternity. You're the leaders of your chapter. You're the role models for your chapter. Let them know what you're doing by broadcasting it on Twitter, announcing it on Facebook, and speaking about it in chapter meetings. Encourage your brothers to make the same decision that I know that you're going to make tonight. Everyone in this room is a living example of how Phi Gamma Delta changes lives. When outsiders look at us in the future, I hope that one day will they say, not only does Phi Gamma Delta change lives, but they'll also say that Phi Gamma Delta saves lives. Brothers, now's the time for you to start building your legacy. Now's the time to make yourself immortal. We look forward to working with you in the coming weeks, months, days ahead, and years ahead on this worthy project, and I hope you'll join us in this worthy endeavor. Thank you very much.